If you look at your guide sheet, the next step is to insert your zipper. The zipper that we're going to use is a separating zipper. There are multiple kinds. The one I happen to buy, it just has plastic teeth. If you pull it down, you can actually get the zipper apart. When you purchase your zipper, check and make sure that it does actually separate. If it does not, it's going to be very difficult to get into your jacket if you can't unzip it all the way. Okay, and we are going to use an exposed zipper technique, which means the zipper teeth are going to show when you are through. Now, your pattern guide gave you a suggested length of zipper to purchase. If you had to adjust the length of your jacket at all, you needed to make it a little bit shorter or a little bit longer than that. The zipper length that you purchased may not exactly match the length of your jacket anymore. And that is the case with this particular jacket, that I made it just a little bit longer than it said, and so I had to buy a longer zipper, and it didn't come. What I needed was odd numbered inches, and they only come even numbered inches. The reason for that alteration that we just did is that when we were through, had we done it the way the pattern guide said, this would have been folded up, we'd have sewed the zipper on, and when you flipped it, your zipper would be sitting inside and you would see it at the base of your jacket. By opening this up, when we're all through and we complete this, when the project is done, the bottom of your zipper is enclosed or encased in that band at the bottom. So it gives the bottom of your jacket a nicer finish than just ending at the zipper at the bottom. So that was why we did that. All right, the first step here, we are going to pin the right side of the zipper to the right side or to the face of the garment. And I like to start with you can start with either side, but I always start with the side of the zipper that has the pull on it, because I can tell the right side of this half of my zipper much easier than I can tell the right side of this half of my zipper. I'm not sure which of that is necessarily the right side of the zipper. And so I start with the side that has a zipper pull on it, because I can tell there's the zipper pull, there's the right side of my zipper. It's going to get pinned to the right side of your fabric, and you want to pin it so that the base of your zipper, and I have a clip that marks my halfway point, what was the midpoint of my band there, so that midpoint can fold right around the bottom of that zipper. And so I pin that in place. Now the distance from the edge, you are going to baste your zipper to your jacket here, and you want to baste it on the 5/8 inch seam line, and then your zipper will then fold out and be held along a straight edge there. And so you want to be certain that you are basting along a straight edge there. The other thing to look at, I have 3 layers of fabric. I have my jacket, I have my pocket, and I have my band. If all 3 of those are heading down, I've got quite a bit of bulk here on one side of my zipper, leading up to less bulk on the other side of the zipper. And so you can, if you choose to, send some of those seam allowances, actually open that seam and spread that out, spread the bulk out if you choose to. I like to do that. I feel like it makes, as I pull the zipper up and down, it makes it a little bit easier to get over those seam allowances. As you pin this, periodically come back and measure and make sure that where you are going to be sewing that is 5/8 of an inch from the edge of the garment. I don't want a lot of zipper tape to show. You can make this so that if you bought a really fun zipper that's got polka dots or something on it, you can make it so that you've got a little bit more zipper tape that shows, and use that as a part of the design of your jacket. If you have cut accurately, once you have measured 2 or 3 times, the zipper tape is the exact same width. And so you can keep your zipper tape just that parallel width to the front of your jacket as you're pinning it up. And then check periodically and make sure that the measurement is where you're going to sew, that you will have that at 5/8 of an inch. That gives you what you want. Okay. Now, if you look, I have this unique problem in that here's the top of my jacket, and I've got a seam allowance and a hood that will be there. So my seam ends right here, and we know that the zipper should end 1/8 of an inch below that, and so my zipper is too long. In beginning, we learned that you can shorten zippers by putting a new bar tack at the bottom of it, but I can't put a bar tack at the bottom of a separating zipper or it will not open. So the way to shorten a separating zipper is off the top. And so you bring the zipper up, pin it in place, and then you literally are going to fold it at a 90-degree angle at the length in which you want your zipper. And your zipper teeth will then lay parallel to the top of your jacket and head off that front end. And you just truly fold that at a 90-degree angle. And that's how you will shorten the jacket, so that as it zips up, the zip actually ends where it is supposed to. So you need to change to your zipper foot, change to a basting stitch. Remember that when you are sewing a zipper, the needle is always between the foot and the zip and the teeth of the zipper. And so you can line that up and stitch it. I'm actually going to stitch the opposite direction, so I'll put my needle towards the other side. A good rule of thumb is to start at the base of the zipper and sew to the top if you possibly can. So I'm going to start at the base of the zipper here. And this is a basting stitch, so be sure you remember to change the stitch length. Getting past your zipper pull often will make you go just a little bit crooked. So if you partially zip that zipper pull up, then when you get to it, lift your foot, zip past it, and zip it back down again. Then you will continue basting up your zipper. The thing to be careful of is you are stitching a zipper tape that does not have any stretch to it. It is very tightly woven, it doesn't have any give, to a fabric that's got some stretch on a lengthwise grain, depending upon which type of knit you chose. And so as you pin it, be very, very careful not to stretch your fabric to fit the zipper. If you look, I had just that teeny tiny little bit of zipper left. A common mistake that will be made is people think, oh, that's just so little, my fabric's got some stretch to it. I'll just stretch my fabric and make it as long as the zipper is. And then I don't have to worry about folding that zipper out of the way and adjusting for the length of that zipper. When you get to the top, be very careful heading over your zipper so that you don't hit the teeth and break your needle. The problem with that, if I had pulled this fabric, instead of now, you can see the zipper lays flat and my fabric lays flat, it would have rippled up and down because I would have stretched the fabric against the zipper tape. And the entire time this jacket is worn, it would have this ripple thing going up and down as you stretch it. So you have to be certain that you do not stretch your fabric. So that gets one side on, one side basted in place. Now we are going to baste the other side on in place, but we want to make sure the zipper aligns. We want to make sure that as this jacket zips up, the pockets zip straight across from each other. The band aligns straight across, and the top and the bottom of the zipper, or the top and the bottom of the jacket align. And so the easiest way to do that is actually zip your zipper back together and then move to a flat surface where you can do some pinning. And so we are going to move to a flat surface and pin for a minute. All right, so I have zipped the zipper back up, and now I'm going to pin the second side of my zipper tape to the second side of my jacket. If you will lay your jacket side without the zipper pinned to it, face up on a flat surface, and then just fold your jacket around. Sleeves are on the inside, back of the jacket. Bring the other right side of the front towards it, so now your right sides are together. You can tell they're together because there's my two pockets. And then we can line this up and make sure that our zipper aligns the way that it's supposed to. And so I am going to, in order to make sure that the pocket aligns across the front, I literally lay the pocket across the top of the other pocket and line it up exactly. Now remember, when I pinned the first side of my zipper tape on, I had that little band of fabric, little band of fleece that showed across the end of the tape. I want to be sure that I leave that same amount of fabric showing as on the other side. Okay, down here where my van attaches, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to open that seam to spread the bulk across the top. I'm going to line that seam right up on top of each other and lay my tape. And pin that tape. Okay. And the bottom of my zipper should be aligned with the clip down there. Pin that. The other place that would be really nice if it lined up is the top of the jacket. It looks really goofy when you zip this up if one side zips and the other side is offset like that. And so you want to make sure that the top of your jacket aligns. So make sure that the fleece at the top of the jacket is lined up. And then pin that in place. So you've now got the areas that need to align: top of the pocket, band, bottom and top of the jacket. At that point then, you can turn this right side out and separate your zipper again. And you do kind of have to separate from pin to pin and pull the pin out of the way, but you can unzip the zipper and separate them back out from each other. And the second side of the zipper will baste exactly like the first side did. All right, so we are back to the sewing machine. Remember, I sewed the first side from the bottom to the top, so I want to sew the second side from the bottom to the top. In order to do that and make sure that we are following the rules, I need to move my needle to the opposite side of the zipper foot, because the needle should be between the zipper and the foot every time that you sew. And again, we are basting. This row of basting stitching is actually just kind of pre-attaching, if you will, the zipper in place where we're going to stitch it in just a moment. Again, be careful not to stretch your fleece or pull it so that you don't get that ripple as you are sewing. And you'll come up to the top of the zipper. We've got that same problem at the top of this side that we had on the other, which we should, because the jackets are the same size. We need to take that zipper, turn it at 90 degrees, so that it ends at the top. Come on, you fold. It ends just below that seam allowance. Okay, when both sides are basted, then you're going to come back again and zip them up. This is just a check to see how your alignment came and if it really does match up or if it's off. And the nice thing is, if it's off, it's only basting, so you can unpick whichever side you don't like and check your alignment. And so you want to make sure that your pattern's coming across. Top of the jacket sits where the top of the jacket is, that the pockets come across each other. If you look, there's top of pocket, there's top of pocket, so our pockets are coming across. Make sure that's aligned. If that's aligned, then we are ready to go to the next step of our jacket. All right, so you have now basted both pieces of the zip, both sides of the zipper in place, zipped it up, made sure it aligns. We are now going to complete the enclosed bottom of the zipper. And so this band, this waistband that we did not fold in half first, I'm actually now going to fold it along the bottom of the zipper. And we're going to fold it right at that clip. And you should have that seam allowance sticking above your seam at the top because you've got seam allowance on the other side. So you should have a seam allowance there. And then you are actually going to put this under your machine now, and you are going to sew with a regulation stitch right on top of that basting stitch that you just used, or that you just put into your jacket. And so you still need your zipper tape on, or your zipper foot on, in order to keep that distance and not be sewing on top of your teeth. And so you sew that in place, and then you can pull the zipper out from inside, and you see that your zipper, the bottom of your zipper then becomes enclosed in that. And you do that on both ends, on both sides. And so you do the same thing on the opposite side of your zipper. Fold it up at the clip, line up your edges. Again, you should have seam allowance coming past, because you've got a 5/8 seam allowance moving up. And then this one little section here, you do have to sew one from the top and one from the bottom in order to be able to stitch on the side where you've sewn your seam and be able to see your stitching, because you want to be sure you're sewing right on top of that first row of stitching. And so that little tiny piece, we kind of have to fudge on the rule of sew the same direction. But you have already sewn the garment side in one direction. So that allows, again, both sides of the bottom of that zipper to now be enclosed, and you get a much better and a much nicer refined look at the bottom of your jacket. And so you baste it, and then you've enclosed the bottom of your zipper, and then we'll be ready to do the next step of our zipper. Okay, once you have basted your zipper on both sides and you like the alignment, then the next step is now to turn that zipper back, and I've got this done. So it was basted this way, and you're just now going to turn that back along the basting and pin along that edge along the entire length of the zipper so that you've got it from the top to the bottom all the way. And now you are going to stitch with regulation stitching from the bottom of the jacket up to the neck of the jacket. And you want to be top stitching about 1/4 of an inch away from this raw edge. And so you can actually use your zipper foot with a quilting bar, or you really can just use your regular foot and then line the foot up with the edge of your fabric. Drop your needle down, and this is just a regulation stitch. We are sewing up that zipper. Remember, normally we sew zippers from the bottom to the top, so we will stitch this. This is actually the stitch that is truly holding your zipper in place, if you will, because remember the first stitching that we used that attached the zipper to your zipper tape was simply a basting stitch so that you would have something to roll this back on. It will stay secure though, because it's completely enclosed or encased now in your zipper. But the wear and tear, the pull on your zipper, will be done against this regulation stitching that we are doing. Notice at the bottom I did not back stitch at the top remember the zipper was slightly too long, and so I had to fold it back, and so I am going to carefully hand wheel as I cross that folded area, and you can see right there I hit the zipper, and so I've got to ease over that zipper to miss it. And then I can backstitch at the top, because that will wind up inside a seam allowance for the hood. Where the bottom I did not backstitch because that was going to be in the bottom. Okay, so now let's look at what we've got. All right, when you've sewn both sides, then lay your jacket back out. Actually zip the zipper back up again. Make sure that those areas align, that where your band meets your jacket, that it aligns and comes straight across, top of the pockets if you have it, top of the zipper, and then any pattern areas that you may need to align. Make sure that the top stitching that you sewed on both sides is straight, that you don't have any jagged edges in there, and then you will pull the thread through on the bottom and tie a knot. The very last step that you'll do after you pull that thread through and tie the knot is when you look at this, you can see that you have fabric, pull this back this direction, you have fabric that shows behind your zipper tape there. And so you are just going to simply take your scissors and trim that fabric out to the zipper tape so that you do not have that showing when the time comes. And so you will just simply very carefully trim that. This is not a race. You do not want to risk cutting through and cutting through the fabric on your jacket, but you want to trim that out. And so you can see where I've started to trim that. The other side I have already completed, and so you can see the other side, there's my zipper in there with none of the fabric showing out the back side of it, so that you don't see extra fleece or extra of your jacket knit poking out behind the back of your zipper tape. And then your zipper is complete and you are done.